Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Your Next Business Bestie. My name is Jen Wayborhart, and I'm your host. This podcast is all about introducing you to really badass people that I think you should know, either because of their business or their story, or a little bit of both. And I am super excited to welcome this week's guest. Hi, Shalesa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's fun. You're
Thanks for
only 10 minutes from me. We could have just recorded this in person.
totally. Next time.
Right. So Shalisa and I met through a local networking group here in the Tri-Lakes area, a couple years ago now, when it was the Success Collective. But what's really funny is I feel like our friendship really developed in January of this year. Um, Totally small world. We were at the retreat for said networking group, and I mentioned, I don't even remember what we were talking about, but I mentioned the fact that I grew up in Texas. And
Mhm.
then Shalisa asked me, "Wait, where did you grow up in Texas?" And I was like, "Oh, this Mesquite Garland area. No one knows that. Like it's outside of Dallas." And she's like, "Wait a second." And long story short, it turns out that my brother and I went to high school with Shalisa's husband. And my brother and Kyle actually graduated the same year from North Mesquite High School. So from there, I feel like that's where our friendship like really kicked off when we got to know each other was that weekend, the Uplift retreat, which was incredible. And since then, now her daughter babysits my daughter at least once a week typically, and I buy a whole bunch of marshmallows all the time. So yeah, Shalisa, tell everybody what it is that you do because you have such a
Yeah,
unique and cool business.
thank you. I mean, I have to agree, it is pretty unique and cool. And I was a licensed insurance agent before this, so that's it's definitely more fun than that. I own S'mormet Gourmet S'mores. We are a mobile s'more bar, and we specialize in homemade gourmet marshmallows. So we make different flavors. I think we have like 12 different flavors on our menu typically, and then we rotate a flavor of the month. But I'm sitting in my horse trailer right now that my husband and I renovated that I use as my mobile s'mores bar. So we take it around when the opportunity arises, whether it's a wedding, birthday party, pop-ups, markets. I really do all of it. So yeah, it is a really fun, super cool thing.
Yeah, I have to say, so I saw your mom and your sister last Friday night at the Monument Art Walk, and my husband was making fun of me because I like to light marshmallows on fire when I make a s'more. And I think it was your sister was like, "Well, these won't light on fire." And I was like, "What?" So now I was like determined. But let's talk about that. So what makes your marshmallows different than if we go to Walmart and,
Yeah.
grab a bag of marshmallows?
For sure. So, I mean, obviously, they're not like a health food, but I only use six ingredients in my marshmallow. If you look at the back of a store-bought marshmallow, they're going to have like 16 or 17 ingredients, including one that I can't even pronounce that sounds a whole lot like the word petroleum, which is a little bit disturbing. And that's probably why your store-bought marshmallow will catch on fire and mine won't, because I stay away from things like that. But Paige actually is the same way. She loves her marshmallow burnt to a crisp. And so she'll make me make hers and I'll just twist it over and over and over until it's really dark. But it's just the caramelized sugars, which I love. Creme brulee is my
Yeah.
favorite dessert. So, like that outside shell that it gets is unlike anything. It's so delicious.
All right. So
But
just what you're saying is I need to be more patient and then then I can have the marshmallow that I want that's the
that's
burnt
right.
flavor. All right.
That's right. I'll teach you. Don't worry.
Okay. We'll have to do s'mores with the kids this. Oh, that would be so fun. We should
Yeah,
do that.
that'd be
Caleb
so
and
fun.
Laney would love that.
Yes.
Okay. Why marshmallows? Of all, I mean, you hear about people opening ice cream shops or coffee places. Why marshmallows?
Yeah, for sure. So this has been brewing for many years. I'd say it has to have been at least 6 or 7 years. We were doing Friday Family Fun Night back when we lived in Texas, and we were going all out with the s'mores. You know, it's Texas, so go big or go
Oh
home. That's exactly what we were doing. And we were like stuffing fruit in our marshmallows and like drizzling different sauces over them, like chocolate, caramel, all the things, fruit sauce. I mean, you name it. We were like being completely over the top. And my girls at the time were little, but they're like, Mom, how come you can't go somewhere and make a s'more like this? Like, there's not a restaurant that has a s'mores bar. There's no S'mormet. And we were like laughing about it. So, S'mormet has been the name ever since the idea was born. But what really pushed it over the edge and made me decide to just go all in with this was being in the networking group that we already talked about and just meeting all these amazing women who are supporting their lifestyle and I mean really just like living the lifestyle they want that they've created and you see these big, beautiful buildings, and you see this successful business, and you see all the good stuff about it. But what you don't typically get to see is all the stuff that they went through to get there, and the fact that they are, in the best way, just normal women. I mean, they're just women just like us, everyday women. I mean, and I'm not being mean when I say this, I mean it in the best possible way, but they're not like some special, like Queen of England. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just normal everyday people. And when I started to build relationships with those normal everyday people, I thought, why not me? Why am I going to a job every single day that I am unhappy with? I'm coming home, I'm sharing the stress with my family because I know tomorrow I have to go back to that same job. And a few things happened that pushed me over the top and pushed me into it. But I came home one day and I told Kyle, my husband, I said, I'm starting S'mormet. I'm just going to do it. And I was still working insurance at the time, but it kind of overlapped perfectly. And because of S'mormet, I was able to comfortably walk away from the job that I hated. So that's kind of a long
That's
explanation
beautiful.
to your question, but yeah,
No,
it
that's
is.
beautiful. I think it's really to your point, like, why not me?
Yeah.
It's interesting because even like my business is 5.5 years old, which is crazy to me. That it's been that long and that it's not considered a new business anymore, which is bizarre. But like it is us, right? Like we are the
Yeah.
people that are going after our dreams and having what's funny is talking about stress and hating a job, like we trade stress, right? We trade the 9 to 5 stress of working for someone else to a whole different kind of stress of working for, yours
Yeah.
truly. I'm remembering last week and you preparing for your huge event, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
different because for lack of a better term, the stress is worth it, right? And that's kind of what this podcast is all about is like we're all on this unique journey of being entrepreneurs and they're all very different. Like, you know, you make gourmet marshmallows. I had somebody who helps people identify toxic ingredients in their home, in the products they use. So they're different, but like we're all on this really cool, unique path of
Yeah.
doing it a different way for
Yeah.
ourselves and for our families.
Right.
So when S'mormet started, what did it look like?
So I made a vow to myself, especially when I walked away from insurance. So I started S'mormet. I got my cottage foods license in March. And then it was like the beginning of April at Easter time that I sold my first couple of kits. I was like, okay, feeling real encouraged. People like this. I'm going to be able to sell it. And that wasn't even with homemade marshmallows. And in fact, I was never supposed to be the one making the marshmallows. I was going to source them from another like local woman owned business. I had this whole idea of what it was going to be. I was going to sell kits online or sell kits to the public. It wasn't going to be a mobile s'mores bar, and I was not going to be the one making the marshmallows. And I figured out real quick that the idea that I had is not how it was going to be, which I love because I love what it's
Yeah.
blossomed into. And I could have never had this vision because I just didn't see the need for it at the time. But as I started to do this more and more, I started to see that there was a gap and see that there was a need. And then the horse trailer was born, and then the events were born, and the rest is history. But I told myself from the very beginning, because I was walking away from insurance, I said, I'm going to work it like it's a full time job. Like I have 40 hours a week worth of work. And if I don't, I'm going to create it for myself, whether that's networking or trying new marshmallow recipes or sourcing things or doing business research. I don't care. I'm going to make sure that I am putting in the work because if I don't, the business isn't going to come. But if I do it right now, when I don't have other things to do, the business will follow. And that's exactly what happened.
That's beautiful. And I remember last month's flavor of the month was German chocolate. I don't remember what this month was for May.
Mexican mocha.
Mexican mocha. I did not try that one.
Oh, it's
I
so
keep
good.
forgetting that June 1st is tomorrow. So you'll have
Ah,
or new flavor. Okay. So mobile, people you set up at events. Where's the business coming from?
so word of mouth, a lot of word of mouth, a lot of Instagram and Facebook posting in groups and people seeing me there. And I do not turn down an opportunity unless I'm just completely busy and I can't find somebody to go work something else. I don't say no. So if I have to call somebody and say, hey, will you go work this? I'll pay you X amount of money. I will do that to get the business because word of mouth has been huge. So I'm doing the Black Forest markets all summer on
Oh,
Saturdays. I'll be there. It's from 9 to 1 and it is a great market. I'm not the only good good thing there. I mean, like every vendor there is amazing.
So
So
good.
that's a must see. It really is. But when I do a lot of things like that, people see me and know me. I just had one who came and picked up marshmallows from my porch for their baby shower because their dessert option fell through. And I think they had just saw me this weekend when my mom was working the Black Forest market for me. And they went and they were like Googling gourmet marshmallows and custom marshmallows and like Googling everything trying to find me. And lo and behold, they did find me and place their
That's great.
order. Yeah. So just being out, staying in the public eye, I think is what's been huge for my business.
And are you shipping marshmallows? Because I
Yeah.
know some listenership will definitely be on the East Coast. So are you
Yeah,
shipping marshmallows?
absolutely. I'd love to ship you some marshmallows. They ship really well and they stay good like 3 to 4 weeks. So I mean the shelf life's really good. And truly they stay good way past that because I've had them way past that. But that's what I
I've
have to
had it way
say.
past that
4
too.
weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The espresso one. So shout out to Joy, who will hopefully listen to this. She
Yeah.
told our whole group about making your coffee over one of your espresso marshmallows, and it creates like its own cream and sugar, but it is
Yes.
so, so good. And I was looking at mine in the cabinet. I was like, oh, I've had those for a while, but they still tasted great. So
Yeah.
we talked about the flavors of the month, but what are your flavors that are around all, we'll say all the time in
Yeah.
quotations, because
All year long.
small business.
So one of my favorites, we have chocolate peanut butter and sorry. Oh, okay. So one of my favorites that we have is chocolate peanut butter. We've got Nutella swirl, Black Forest cherry, vanilla, of course, toasted coconut, espresso, and sometimes I do cacao nibs on the espresso if I can get a hold of them. And that's delicious. That's also a
Sounds good.
favorite. Coffee runs in my veins, so I have to have my espresso marshmallows. I think I said toasted coconut, buttered sprinkle has been one of my top sellers.
Ooh.
And it has butter in the mix. So it's kind of like the idea of a Rice Krispie. So it sounds kind of weird, but it's like a Rice Krispie treat, but without Rice Krispies. And then we've got it just crossed my mind, but now I'm forgetting. Oh, S'moreo. It's not one of my favorites because I don't like Oreos, but it's a vanilla marshmallow, and then I put crushed Oreo on top. So it's kind of like cookies and cream, but it's really good too.
Yeah. And we have to talk about your podcast because you and I are kind of on this journey together. Shout out to
Oh,
Megs, who will be on the podcast too, for inspiring both of us. You and I both talked about launching podcasts, and now we're both in the process of launching them.
yeah.
So tell people about your podcast, what it's all about. I love the inspiration behind it, so I'll let you share that.
Thank you. So it's called S'mormet Time, naturally. I wanted it to kind of go hand in hand with my business, but it's not necessarily a business podcast. Of course, a lot of my guests are going to be women business owners because that's where my heart is, and I want to share their stories. But I do have a couple men scheduled to come on and share their stories that are really cool. But basically, it's a podcast where I bring a guest to my listeners who has been through something really hard or really stressful, some crazy situation, and they may even still kind of be going through it and navigating it, but somehow they found the positivity in the situation and they are beginning to conquer it, or they already have conquered it and something beautiful has arose from that. So it's basically coming from victim to victor and rising from the ashes. And I just want other people to know that you're never alone in what you're going through. And if we don't share our stories when we go through something hard, what was it for in the first place? So I think we should get out there and talk about it. And I think we should share it with other people. And even if you can inspire one person for one single day only, at least you gave them the empowerment for that one day or the inspiration
Yeah.
for that one day. Like, it's they could have just felt terrible that whole day, but instead they heard you share your story and now they feel a little more empowered. So that's what it's all about. Over
Beautiful.
s'mores. I don't know if I said that.
Over
We have
s'mores.
s'mores while we tell the
Yes.
story.
I love it. And I think that's really where you and I bonded, honestly, in January, was both of our love for stories. My phrase that I wrote when I went to a conference a couple years ago was the authentic sharing of stories has the power to change and save lives. And I fully and completely believe that. In yoga, we say that you teach from your scars and not your wounds. So those lessons we've learned and sharing those. And I think that's where our podcasts are similar too. But, s'mores for yours. Do you have a launch date for yours?
I'm working on it. I want to have probably 8 episodes recorded before I launch, and I've had a couple that have had to reschedule because these are busy ladies.
Oh yeah.
But I already have 4 episodes recorded, so we're getting close. So
Cool. Well,
I want to launch
ironic, by when? Say that again.
by July.
Cool. So what's funny is I want 8 episodes to launch too, and you are my 8th episode. So,
Oh,
yeah, I've been debating. So obviously, by the time people listen to this, I'll have launched. But
cool.
my plan was the beginning of July, but I might bump it up a little. I guess we'll see. Um, so what's next? What's next for your business? What area? I know you have lots and lots of ideas. We've talked about a lot of them, but where do you see your business going in the next couple years?
Yeah. In the next couple years, we're going to have a physical location. I would love to launch a physical location by 2020, by the end of 2025, probably. I have huge dreams for S'mormet, not only a physical location. This business is so much more than just s'mores to me. So on the outside, everybody sees these delicious homemade marshmallows. You're welcome. It's a big part of it too. But to me, it's so much more. It's conquering things that you never thought you could conquer. It's empowering other women to do the same thing. I plan to be speaking on stages by the end of 2024. I want to have S'mormet fully staffed so that I don't have to be the one making the marshmallows all the time, so that I can be doing other things that align with the business. But when we do get S'mormet as a storefront, it's going to have a podcast studio so people can rent it out and use it. But whenever we do the podcast S'more time, I want it to broadcast out to people who are walking by so they can watch us record live. I think that would be so amazing.
Love that.
So those are the things that are in our future. It's more weddings, it's more parties. I love doing markets, but I plan to be able to step away from markets to be able to do business that's prepaid. It's just going into a market. If you do markets or pop-ups, you can relate, but you pay a fee to be there and then you're not really sure what you're going to walk away with. And typically it's great. I have a wonderful, unique product, so I do really well, but I'd love to say, okay, I know that this is what I'm getting from this party and I know exactly what to expect. And I'm not paying to be there. They're paying me to be there. So those are the
Absolutely.
steps we're going to be taking and what it'll look like. Eventually, I'd love to be making everything from scratch. Our graham crackers, a chocolate chip cookie, a fudge stripe inspired cookie, our own chocolates, which I've already started, but I don't always make them. It's kind of like a special occasion type of thing. And then all of our different flavors of marshmallows. But when you walk into S'mormet, what you can expect is tables with tabletop fire pits, patios, cornhole, maybe like some mini golf holes to play on, very family oriented, but also at the same time, kind of a trendy, fun vibe. So yeah, it's going to be
I
really cool. I
love
can't
it.
wait.
I
Yeah.
love it. And I hope it's in Monument or Palmer Lake.
Or at least close, right?
Uh, right? I love that idea. Because I mean, s'mores are such like I've heard you say it before, like everybody has a story around s'mores. Like it just brings up such emotions, especially
Yeah.
this time of year, right? I mean, I was in Bozeman a couple weeks ago and we made s'mores and I like have a habit of just texting you anytime anything with marshmallows
I
comes
love
up.
it.
Um, which my business coach always talks about, like you never know those little things. And yours is, really, you know, you make marshmallows, people send you pictures of s'mores, but it stirs up all of these emotions that also tie
Yeah.
to your business, which is so cool. Um, but I love the idea of a physical location. I think that's so cool. And as far as markets, yeah, I was in direct sales. I started off in direct sales for a long time. I sold Pure Romance and then Origami Owl and then LuLaRoe. And I mean, from late August till Christmas, I spent every Saturday and Sunday doing craft fairs and
Yep.
markets, and they're rewarding in a way, right? Because you get this cool community from them, especially if you're
Yeah.
staying local, you see the same people over and over. But to your point, like you never know
Yeah.
what's like, I mean, all it takes is if it's outdoors, all it takes is bad weather, and you could be out sometimes
Oh, yeah.
hundreds of dollars for
Oh,
those.
yeah.
So that makes total sense. Talk to us about weddings specifically, because I joked on Facebook one day. I said I was going to make my husband do a wedding again so that we could have s'mores at our wedding. But let's talk about that part of your business.
I said the same thing to my husband. So we've been married 15 years. I was like, like at least by year 20, we need to like redo this. We'll have a s'mores bar. So you're not the only one
Absolutely.
that wants that. Your wedding's a little more fresh, but still, it's totally fine to have like a little redo.
Right.
But I love doing weddings for multiple reasons. A, I love being a part of people's special day. Like this is something that, really you only get to do one time. I mean, sometimes a couple times, but it's not something you're just doing every day. And to be able to be invited to be a part of that with my special product makes me feel really good inside. And I just do my best to bring my A game. I want it to be beautiful for them. I don't want them to have to worry about anything. I do all the setup. I even bring the plates, the skewers, the hand wipes. I mean, literally, they don't have to worry about anything. You tell me where to go, I'll show up, I'll set up. You'll never even know I'm there other than you'll see me. But it's great because at the weddings, you have bride side, you have groom side, and then even with both of them, you have all these mixtures of people that you met different places who don't really know each other.
Oh,
So that you see them coming up around the s'mores bar and they're like, oh, what combination do you have? Oh, what are you making? And somebody spills their s'more on themselves or gets it in their hair. And all of a sudden people are laughing and talking. And it's bringing people together that normally wouldn't have talked to each other, even being at the same wedding together. So it's really cool to see friendships being built, connections being made, because that's really what I'm all about. But also just bringing this Colorado vibe to the weddings that are here. And whether it's an elopement where people are coming to Colorado that don't really live here, or if it's somebody who lives here in Colorado, I think it's the perfect addition to a Colorado wedding with the mountains in the background and s'mores at your table. And it's a bougie s'more. It's not like a regular s'more. So it aligns perfectly as a wedding dessert.
and what does it look like logistically? Like, obviously, you have a ton of flavor options.
Yeah.
Do they pick certain ones that they want there? What does it look like when it comes to
Yeah,
that?
I've had a couple people that told me to choose my favorites, and I'll just be like, okay, any allergies that you know of or anything you want me to
Yeah.
stay away from? And then they'll kind of give me the ability to choose what I bring. And I'll usually just do the favorites, which are like chocolate, peanut butter, vanilla, toasted coconut, s'moreo, maybe black forest cherry. But otherwise, yes, they get to choose. And so it's like per dozen s'mores that you do, that's a flavor choice. So if you do 4 dozen, you get 4 flavors. If you do 5 dozen, you get 5 flavors.
Oh,
And I bring all the different cookies. We bring graham cracker, fudge stripe, Chips Ahoy. We bring Ghirardelli dark chocolate, Ghirardelli caramel filled chocolate, which come in milk, dark or white chocolate. And then I bring Hershey's chocolate, the different flavors of marshmallows. So, I mean, like, seriously, the options are endless.
that's amazing. What other kinds of events are you doing? I know weddings, of course, and the markets, but where else?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously in Monument last Friday. So are you going to be at the art walks all summer in Monument?
Yeah, I'll miss July because I'll be in Ulysses, Kansas, where I grew up for our fair. It's like a 4 day event. So I'll do the fair out there. So I do travel. I've done so many things. Art hop, I do the art walk, which is down in Old Colorado City. So I've done that at
Yep.
Everyday Girl Adventure Studio, which is a super cute studio. I do, like I said, fairs. I've done pumpkin patches. I've done a witches ride, which is something I had never heard of. Have you heard of that?
No, but I feel like I should.
You would love it. You totally would love it. So all the women in this neighborhood dressed up as witches and they ride around on their bikes and it's like a parade and they throw candy to all the kids that are out there. It
That's
was the
so
cutest thing
fun.
ever. It was so
That is
fun. I
so
love being
fun.
a part of that.
Yeah.
I've done MOPS events, mothers of
Yep.
preschoolers. I've done different neighborhood events, birthdays. I think I said I've done anniversaries. I've done corporate events. I do all of it.
Very cool. Let's talk outside of business.
Okay.
I obviously know a lot about your life outside of business, but who do you have at home? What's your support system like?
Yeah. So I've got 3 kiddos and they are just like the craziest mix of kids. I've got Caleb, who's 6, my little guy, and then I have Melody and Paige. They're 13 and 15. So I've got 2 teenage girls. You heard right. Yes, I'm crazy. But it's really so much fun. It's like the best mix ever. Caleb and the girls have this really cool relationship, and he knows he can get exactly what he wants out of them, which is kind of funny and all bad, like all in one.
I
But
can see
it's
that
great.
for sure.
Yeah,
Him and Elena
totally. And
together are
yeah.
trouble,
Oh
trouble,
my
trouble.
gosh. He's I'll have to tell you later some of the things that he says about her. It is so cute. He said, Mom, did you know
So,
Lainey's real name is Elena? Isn't that such a beautiful name? I'm
oh
like,
my
you need to
goodness.
stop.
Oh my goodness, that's
His
adorable.
little, yeah, he's ridiculous. So anyway, that's the kiddos. And then my husband Kyle, we've been married 15 years. We've been together almost 17 years coming up in October. So we've been together a really long time. We've grown up together. Um, my support system is awesome. The girls are one of the ones who stayed behind me through all of this. And I probably would have forgot about the dream of S'mormet if they would have let me, but they didn't. So here we are. I got to credit them for that. They
Yeah.
helped me pack cookies. Paige has worked markets for me whenever I had to leave a little early and go do a birthday party. They've put marshmallows out on the porch when I wasn't home and I had a pickup order. In fact, they just did that today. So without them, I'd really be like a chicken with my head cut off. I mean, seriously, they keep my head on straight. And Kyle is huge. I mean, like any spare money we get, he's like, let's put it in S'mormet. Like he just really believes in my business and he believes that it'll go far. So yeah, it's really great to have that at home.
What about the four-legged creatures? We can't leave
Oh
out
yeah.
the fur
Oh,
babies.
there's plenty of those. So I've got Goose and Marshmallow. We call her Mallow. But that's my two little kittens. They're brother and sister. And then there's going to be a train coming by, so we might need to stop for a second because it's going to get really loud. I totally did not even think about that.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Do you hear it?
I don't hear it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'll let the engines pass and then I'll just start over
Yeah.
with the cat.
Yeah, oddly, I can't hear you as well, but your
Yeah,
microphone is like tuning out the actual sound
that's
of
awesome.
the train, which is
So
good to know,
iPhone.
right?
Yeah, good to know. Okay. So we have, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So we have Goose and Marshmallow, who are our little kittens. They're brother and sister. They're not even a year old, so they're still babies. And then we've got Peanuts, who is the guinea pig, and she is like full of sass. She's ridiculous. And then I've got Tugger and Tinky, who are both Shih Tzus. Tugger is almost 9, and Tinky is about a year and a half old, but that's my fur babies, and I love them so much.
Can't leave them out.
No.
Um, cool. And then outside of family, of course, I know that you are in Uplift, which is a beautiful community of local women. And what else do you want us to know? What else should we know about Shalesa?
Well, there's a lot of things I love. I'm a total nature girl. I love being outside. And I love that my business allows me to do that. You know, with insurance, you're stuck in an office a whole lot or at home taking calls.
Um,
You get out in the field a little bit, but it's not actually like being outside. So with S'mormet, I get to take my little trailer. We just did an event in the forest a couple weeks ago. It was like a forest frolic for a preschool, and it was so cute. But I got to just like hang out in the forest for a couple hours and serve people s'mores. I mean, come on. So it really
yeah.
aligns with who I am as a person, just being so involved in nature, being able to be out and not stuck under a roof all the time. I do geode paintings and I do sell them, but it's really more of a hobby. It's just something that I love. So it's like the acrylic pour paintings, if you've heard of that, but then I embellish them with just different like crystals, stones, rocks, things I collect out in nature. And then I might start making hats. I love these. I'm like completely obsessed with hats. Like, how cool is this?
That's really
This one I
cute.
had made. I just had it made a couple weeks ago, but then I had another one made this weekend at the Wine and Chocolate Festival. And so I ordered myself some feathers and things like that. And I think I'm going to start making these just like honestly, just for fun, probably for myself, unless somebody wants me to make one for them.
Super
But
cute.
I love creativity. I love creating anything. And I'm able to do that also with my marshmallows, not just with the flavors, but like even doing my setup. So like when you see me out and about, my setup is really pretty. I take pride in what I do. But it's because it's fun for me. I actually like really enjoy it. So
I was just thinking, I feel like you should sell, my strategy brain going all the time. You should do tank tops and t-shirts this summer. That's like says
yeah.
like what's your s'more that you could
Oh
have.
yeah. I would
That
love
would be
that.
really cute. Really
Love
cute.
that. Or everyone has a s'more is something I always say. So yeah.
That would be really cute. I'm
Yep.
all for a good tank top. So,
Right.
how can people
I'll let you
find
know
you?
when
What say that again?
I said I'll let you know when I get them.
Perfect. I'm sold. How can people get a hold of you? What's the best way to
Yeah.
book or to order or all the things?
Yeah. So I'm in the process of working on my website, which is s'mormet.co, no apostrophe. So it's just SMORMET.co, like Colorado. You can order my marshmallow dozens on there, and here pretty soon we'll have a booking link so that you can book your mobile s'mores bar. But other than that, you can reach me on Instagram. I'm S'mormet_CO. So really similar to the website, but it's an underscore instead of a dot. I'm on Facebook, S'mormet Gourmet S'mores. Or you can text me or call me. We can link my number. It's on all my business cards. Don't mind sharing my number.
Totally. Awesome. Well, anything else you want to share about where your business is going, where it came from?
No, not really. I really think you did a good job of asking questions and covering all the bases. So I can't think of anything else I want to share. But I do want to let your listeners know that if you have a dream or if you have something that you're working towards, there's no better time to go for it than today. So just keep that in
Beautiful.
mind.
I love it. Well, thank you, Shalesa. And thank you for everybody listening. Again, my name is Jen Waybor Hart, and this is your Next Business Bestie. If you're interested in getting a hold of any of our guests, you can reach out to me directly, or if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast or finding out more about what I do as a creative strategist, you can reach me at jen@jensway.com, 2 N's on Jen, or my Instagram is Life Jen's Way. And thank you so much, Shalesa. It's a pleasure, and you're a huge inspiration behind the podcast happening in general. So, and I love that you're the 8th guest. That feels very
I do
kismet.
too.
So
Yeah,
I
it
love
is
it.
meant to be. I love it
I
so
love
much.
it.
Thanks for having me, Jen. You rock.
Yeah. Everybody else, I will see you next time on your Next Business Bestie. Have a great day.